I just turned 25. I recently graduated. This is why I started a business after college instead of just getting a 9 to 5. I'm starting a series. I want to make a series, and in my series I want to talk about just the essentially behind the scenes process of creating my first creative business and building a creative career for myself as someone that is entrepreneurial. I don't have any active business experience, but I am like an ambitious artist. I want to be able to like create things, make things, and be valuable to people, and ultimately experiment with different creative business models. I'm really interested in social impact business, so social entrepreneurship, or just honestly looking at business as a tool to generate social impact and do good for the world instead of it just being a thing about greed and money. So that's kind of my take. Am I a businesswoman? Am I a successful entrepreneur? Not yet. I have not generated necessarily any context or gains to be able to give business advice. I'm just simply sharing my experience and what I've learned because I want to document it for myself. And I think for me, I'm always just interested when I hear people tell their stories of how they start things, because I'm somebody that's like really into starting things and trying ideas and testing different things and like being really experimental and open to failure. And other people that are like that, I like hearing their story, because then sometimes randomly they're successful and it's like, okay, so how did you get to that point? Tell me. So it'll be cool to look back on, hopefully one day when I am successful, and be like, oh, look at little me making that video off the side of the road. I'm just sitting by a tree. Yeah, let me get into it. I felt like getting a 9 to 5 was honestly my worst nightmare, and I think there's like a narrative that's kind of trending around that, around it being like, oh, no one wants to work anymore, no one wants to get a 9 to 5. And for me, it wasn't that I was working. Like, I've worked for people all through my life, like through my teens and 20s. I just felt like there was nothing, like the value that I have to give to the world isn't in a corporate setting. And I just intuitively felt that. I felt that in all of the career types that I did lean towards when I was experimenting in different fields. I never gravitated towards anything that felt really corporate. I never gravitated towards office settings. I never gravitated towards established companies. Like, even when I was working, I really preferred working for startups or smaller projects or working directly under an entrepreneur. Every time I worked a job working for an entrepreneur, I felt so excited about the work they were doing. I felt excited about the lifestyle they were living. And I was like, that's the type of life I want. I don't want to live the type of life that's like working up a corporate ladder. And honestly, as somebody that's very creative and spontaneous, I think the structure of a 9 to 5 would actually help me. It has nothing to do with like it being like, oh, well, 9 to 5 is going to ruin my life, it's not going to give me freedom. I do really value freedom, and I value experiences, and I value being creative and having creative freedom in my work, but I don't think like that the actual structure of day-to-day 9 to 5 is what really turned me off. It was more so just the fact that I felt like nothing was clicking in structured careers as much as like when I would work for somebody that was doing something different. And then when I would work for those people, I would be like, what about them makes them somebody that does their own thing versus getting a job? And through that, I like started noticing patterns and identifying traits, and that kind of gave me confidence in taking a risk on myself, because I was like, that's what I want. And instead of just doing what everybody else is doing, like if I just do the thing that will get me closer to what I want, even if it makes my success delayed, that's a good life to me. So that was my first reason. But as I've grown, I really think that more structure would be helpful. So anyways, I don't ever want to clock 9 to 5 as like a negative thing, because I think I have so many friends that love their 9 to 5s. I have so many friends that love their careers and are super successful and are growing and love having the community and the team aspect. And that's honestly something I miss doing the work that I do. It's like I wish I had more like coworker community vibes. I'm not jealous, but like I miss that in my process right now. I feel like it does feel very individual. I have my co-founder, but outside of that, it's like me with my own ideas, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, girl, you're just crazy. But also, like, when I was applying to jobs, I felt like everything I was applying to, first of all, it felt like I was applying into the bliss. Like, I would never hear back from these things, or I felt underqualified, or I felt disinterested. And I just was like, the job market is so complicated and hard right now. I might as well take a risk on my dreams and, like, try my best now. Also, I think it's important to note, I had set a financial foundation for myself before I graduated. So, like, throughout college, I knew that I was going to lean towards, like, not going straight into getting a job. And I do have a couple jobs that I do freelance part-time. So I have some things coming in. But aside from that, I had particularly mentally prepared myself to, first of all, live low expenses, live rapidly, like, immensely below my means, and with awareness that I was going to give myself kind of like a buffer, a period of time to take a risk and try it, and then if it didn't work out, I was going to have to figure things out. But I had financially set myself up for that ahead of time, and I think that I'm very privileged to be in that position, because had I not done that, I would not be able to, you know. I feel like I have less day-to-day stress because of that reason. But honestly, even though I did that, it doesn't feel good to be tanking your savings or dipping into your savings every day. It feels good to spend money and make money and have money be moving in and out fluidly. And I think that's something I'm really struggling with right now, is that because my income is so inconsistent, I have phases where I'm not making anything, or I'm not making nearly enough to feel comfortable. And I think my takeaway from that is that while that inconsistency is uncomfortable, I still enjoy it, because every day I'm doing things I love. Like, every day I'm waking up and I'm doing the work I'm doing. I'm talking. I'm getting better at exposing myself. I'm getting better at being confident in my ideas. I'm getting better at writing. And I'm getting better at just working at building the basics of my business so that I can be the person that makes it successful. Not just make the business successful, but, like, who am I as a founder, and how is my skill set and my structure and my day-to-day routine going to contribute to the success of my business. Also, I feel my lips are dry. I need to give context for what I do. I have a postcard project right now, and we do interactive postcard events. So we do pop-ups, we do festivals, we do markets, we do corporate events, and we're working on a vending model. We have a postcard book on bookshelves and that we sell online. And yeah, I'll talk more about it later, but that's just so you know what's going on. And then I'm also looking at, like, how can I monetize different skill sets I have? How can I create offers through, you know, teaching things that I do know and skills that I do have, and, like, selling my art. I sell my art sometimes. So, like, I've just been experimenting with different things, but I'm not necessarily there yet. Oh, okay. I have made bullet points for this video, so sorry if I'm rambling. I believed in myself enough to be disciplined. So I think I've had phases of my life where I was like, oh, I want to do my own thing, but I didn't really understand what that entailed. And as I'm going through it, I'm really learning how much it demands out of me and how much output I have to do. I think a large part of my work right now is outreach. A large part of it is just getting on the internet and exposing myself and telling my story and, like, seeing what resonates with people. And I must be consistent with those things, and I must be working hard every day, like doing the back to you have friends stuff, like building the basics of my business. And I felt going in that I would be disciplined enough and that I loved it enough to do it every day. And I felt like I loved that lifestyle enough to show up for it, if that makes sense. I'm a little congested, that's why I sound nasally. I wanted to get better at putting myself out there, and this would force me to do it. I was such an insecure little scared girl all the time. Like, I was never confident in my ideas. I was never confident in myself, even socially. Like, I felt like I felt like a different person no matter who I was with, and that is natural to a certain extent, like here and there. I don't know why I'm looking around so much, so I need to look at the camera. But I just felt like I needed to build my skill in communication. I needed to build my skill in owning my story and owning my work and being okay with the fact that I'm not perfect and that I'm a beginner and that it's not gonna be good in the beginning. Like, these videos, if people are watching them, I'm so grateful, but, like, I hope you know, like, I don't think they're great videos. It's just me mind dumping and sharing my process. But like, I used to get embarrassed because I'm kind of a perfectionist. I grew up a competitive gymnast, and when I was a competitive gymnast, perfect 10s only. Like, you must be perfect. You're practicing the same skills every single day to be the best. And I did have eras during my gymnastics career where I was pretty successful and like doing really well. And that kind of trained me to be a winner. Like, I wanted to be a winner all the time. And later in life, when I stopped gymnastics, I noticed that in myself, where I had this element of perfectionism where I constantly just had to be winning. And in every way, whether it was my appearance or my work or my skills or like being the funniest person in the room or just connecting with people, like, I had constant pressure on myself and like looking at myself critically because I felt like I could always be better. I could always be like more, I don't even know how to describe it. I just got caught up in perception a lot. And it was usually me perceiving myself. Had literally nothing to do with what other people thought. It was me being worried about other people thought because I was hyper perceptive over myself. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, girl, you suck because you're a beginner, and that's okay. That's part of the process. You will get better over time, and the only way to get better over time is by actually communicating and trying and putting yourself out there and letting things fail, letting things flop, letting yourself be embarrassed. Like, I think success in this day and age has nothing to do with how smart you are or what brilliant genius idea you have or anything. It's about how can you expose yourself and how can you be comfortable with failure until you actually succeed. Who can like endure failure long enough to make it to where they want to be? And I was writing about this today because success, I'm getting sidetracked, I know this always happens. Success is defined by so many metrics that are outside of yourself. Like, literally the only way you can accurately define success is looking at yourself and looking at yourself as an individual and being like, what is my ability to get what I want out of life? Do I have an ability to get what I want out of life? Do I know how to identify what I want out of life? And once I'm able to identify it, what do I need to do to get there? And can I do those things? And for me, like, when I think about success in that way and I think about my dream life, in many ways I'm living my dream life right now because I am experimenting with those aspects and like being experimental and allowing myself to throw myself out there and expose myself and like build systems. And when I think of systems, I'm thinking of, like, for example, the postcard project, my creative business, or whatever I'm doing on the internet, to help people, but also to create experiences. The postcard project, we have sent out thousands of love letters. Thousands. That is so special to me because it's creating opportunity for people to connect with their loved ones in a way that we don't do anymore because we're all on our phones, we're all digital, we're all commenting on social, sending texts, sending emails, but like receiving a handwritten note just hits different. So I'm rambling, but like allowing myself the space to be not where I want to be at, just accepting that I'm a beginner and accepting that it's going to suck in the beginning and I will have to get better over time has allowed me to make the first step to put myself in a position where I can generate social impact. And that's what I really see firsthand when I do those events in person. There's people around. Is that I notice people writing a handwritten note, writing a letter, sending a postcard, and later people reach out and be like, oh, we received it, like it was so awesome, whatever. And that is just special to me. And I think business is a tool for social impact, and because when you invest in a business, you're putting resources, money, time, and attention into a project that then provides experiences or products for other people. As a consumer, you're a consumer. What brand are you investing in? Probably a brand that resonates with something about your own personal identity. Through that purchase or that consumption, you are then creating an experience for that user of the product or person experiencing the experience. And that is powerful. And I think like there's ways to make change and like make movement in culture, but also within people through using business as a tool and not looking at it as like this negative, greedy thing. I'm getting off track and I literally made a structure for a reason, so let me just continue. My skin looks like, you know when you kiss a boy that has a beard? This is TMI. And like their scruff like shaves off your skin. That is what's happening down here, but I didn't kiss a boy, so I don't know why that's happening. It's just dry. I thought about my dream life and I already said this, and dream career, and I would rather make less money but working towards my own dream than a bunch of money doing something I didn't care about. This is just a value system I have. I don't need that much. I'm pretty simple. I don't really buy that many clothes. I don't need that much to live a happy life, and I really do find joy in kind of day-to-day silly things, writing, being with my loved ones, buying a coffee and sitting in the grass. And for me, it's more important that I have outlets for my expression and that I am building something that I genuinely care about and feel passion for and feel like I fully resonate with, like, the mission and the intent of the business. That to me on the day-to-day is more important than any financial metric or financial structure. And I feel like through that I've like allowed myself to be comfortable in this element of uncertainty surrounding me right now, as I don't know what the fuck is going on. My last bullet point, I knew it was not going to be sexy. Not a lot of money, a lot of uncertainty and inconsistency, a lot of people judging and not getting it, a lot of failure. This is funny because I feel like in my natural ramble, as my thoughts kind of progressed, I went through the list anyways. I feel like now I'm just being repetitive. But I think some people think entrepreneurship is sexy. I watched my dad, not to expose him, did not graduate high school, was a teen parent from the age of like 15. And I watched him work his way up from being a busboy at a restaurant to like now owning his own restaurant and like starting to be building success in the restaurant industry. And through that, like I really became aware of like entrepreneurship and business is not sexy. You do not see returns from your inputs or your hard work for years. And some people never see it ever. And you have to have such a comfort with delayed gratification and trusting yourself and believing in your vision. And I think now, because the internet, like people pop off for everything, blah, 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 it kind of became a trendy thing to do your own thing. I feel like while there probably is part of me that is naive and doesn't know and is just being kind of stupid and delusional, I feel as though like I do kind of feel confident in my awareness of the fact that like this is not a sexy thing that I'm doing, and it's like going to be difficult and it's going to be stressful and it's going to feel like I'm doing something wrong or like I'm behind in life. And I've been behind in life before, and my takeaway from that whole experience was like it's impossible to be late on your own life. You cannot be behind on your own life. Like everyone's on their own path, on their own journey. So my experience kind of with the first half of my 20s was that me leaning into that is expansive and it's just who I am. Like it really just feels like that is who I am and what I was meant to do. And like if I will find success for it because I believe in myself and I'm driven, and I'm like, I will be successful one day, period. Sorry if that's narcissistic, it's just true. But I do understand that it could take a very long time for me to get to that point. And me being realistic with myself and understanding the reality, like I think life is simple, and we as humans kind of make things complicated all the time, and we make things really magical or really amazing. Ultimately, like things are neutral for me. And if I look at it realistically, I'm like, okay, is this something I want to do? Is this something I'm gonna be the best version of myself in? And that's when I sort of get to the point where I'm like, all right, you go, girl. And if you're wrong, you can always change directions and do something different. Like that's the thing. It's not that cryptic. If you make the wrong mistake, if you make the wrong decision, if you choose the wrong job, you can get a different job. If you start a business and it fails, you can start a different business and try again. If you start a different business and that also fails, you can go and get a job again. Like it's not that cryptic. And I think my ability to kind of feel like I'm just experimenting and like getting data and practicing and like seeing what I like and allowing myself to be experimental in life and seeing value on the whole range of experiences, whether it's the best thing that happens or the worst thing that happens. I really do feel like I see every experience as beneficial and working in my favor and as an opportunity to learn something. And because I am like that, it makes me excited about business. It makes me excited to be creative. It makes me excited to expose myself on the internet. It makes me excited to like have these little rant sessions with you guys and like talk to myself, honestly. It makes me excited to like go back through and like respond to comments and like write every day and just think about my ideas. Like, I think I do live a lot in the future sometimes. Like, I have a lot of visions and ideas for stuff. So what happens when I have a lot of visions is I start just like, I see the vision so clearly that like people just start to think I'm crazy, but that's okay. And it'll work, it'll be fine, and I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. And I just trust my ability to recover, honestly. Like, I trust my ability to figure things out. And I think if you are someone that is considering taking a risk on yourself, I would just be real. Like, I would just be realistic about like what it is you want. If you need structure, if you want the consistency, if like the thought of not knowing where your next paycheck comes, if that sounds like horrible to you, then just be real with yourself, you know? Like, I think there's so much internet advice these days and so much information that people feel inclined to do any which way that other people are doing because they're easily influenced, me, myself included. Like, there's so much information out there and so many people living their dream that you just don't even know which dream to pick because there's so many options, and we live at an age where anything's possible. So when you're in an age where anything's possible, it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to know which life to choose? It's the fig tree thing, the Sylvia Plath fig tree metaphor. And I caught myself in that mindset often, where I was like, I don't know which of the paths is right for me, and the only thing you can really do is just keep choosing things. You can always choose another thing. You can always redirect, and applying yourself and actively participating. I always say the active participant thing, and just like really being honest and real with yourself of like when you're not showing up and you're not doing the work and you're not enjoying something. Like, you could be, I see content creators specifically, this isn't in the business conversation, it's a separate conversation, but like, I see influencers and business content creators come back years later after this success and be like, I stopped doing content full time, or why influencing full time wasn't for me. And that's just them. They're being real with themselves, like, hey, I can find success in this, but the inconsistency with brand deals, the inconsistency with income, the constantly being on my phone wasn't for me. So I went and got a different job, and now I feel happy in my community. I feel happy having coworkers. I feel happy going to a office every day and like having somewhere to sit and do my work that's outside of my home. And I think it's less about what it is that you do and more about being honest with yourself about what feels expansive for you and where you're going to build the skills that will help you with your future, and where you're going to build the awareness of like, hey, these are the skills that I'm actually good at, these are the things I actually love, and these are the things that are going to get me the experiences out of life that I'm looking for. Anyways, now I'm rambling and I think I've spoken too much. I definitely went off the path of the purpose of the video, as I always do. Why I started a business after college instead of getting a 9-to-5. I feel like that I was pretty on topic. I feel like I kind of gave my my perspective on like why I took this route, and I will just leave you with believe in yourself because you got it. And now I feel cringe for saying that, but it's true. Like, really, it's just all about believing yourself and owning your work and just putting yourself out there and being time and time again like, hey, I'm gonna keep going even though I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Mwah. Love you guys. Don't look at my beard, kissing beard shit. I didn't kiss anybody. My boyfriend's out of town. Look at my setup right now. Like, gorgeous. I'm under a tree. Laptop out. In the grass. In my Mamma Mia dress. Jewelry. Nails done did. Love you guys.